So the third season of The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon, has just started, and I wanted to give you my thoughts on it and some stuff I've noticed. Some stuff I found disappointing, but some stuff I found really interesting. So straight away we see them in England, and then they arrive in London. And I would have preferred to not know beforehand that it was filmed in Spain, because I started to look at stuff like, why is that yellow? Why does it look off? But you know, it was good. It just looks like that now. There were some real shots here and here that were actually filmed in England.
We still speak English here?
I hate how she says it like English doesn't come from England. At least they spoke it here too. No, you do it there too. It's from England. So they get there and straight away the walkers flood them, and it was a really cool scene. But I noticed straight away the walkers started to be more jittery and noticeably different from the ones we saw across the shows. Of course set in the States, but even the ones we saw in France, which is a bit nearer. And a really similar thing started to happen in season 11. You might remember me talking about this if you watched me back then. It was only a few years ago. It was this scene in particular with Carol in episode 10, where she went into this wine cellar to go and get Lance's wine, and I noticed she struggled a lot more than usual. And I said in my video for that episode back then that the walkers just being a lot stronger wasn't because they were the different ones yet, but because they were slowly amping all the walkers up for when they would canonize the idea of new walkers. Of course, a few months before then we just got that new variant walker reveal at the end of World Beyond, so naturally it was going to happen in the main show in some way too. And best believe after this scene with Carol just 8 months later in episode 19, they fully canonized that the walkers being more capable in season 1 and a bit in 2 was because they were a different type of walker.
I've heard stories about walkers like this that can climb walls and open doors. Maybe there's other kinds too.
Which I love, and for there being such a wild lack of it in the main show, even after they revealed it, I just said, oh okay, well, it's going to be for the spin-offs then. But unfortunately, they went on to not really do anything remarkable in the Daryl show either. Daryl was in France, where Jenna spoke about where we saw this actual new walker was, but the showrunner just didn't do it, so I put that down to it being a different showrunner than what was planned back when World Beyond was on, or back when the main show was still on. The showrunner that took on Daryl just did his own thing, where Jenna and her scientists were making silly juice that would make them crazy. Brutally disappointing and a bit depressing. I don't know whose idea it was to do the most least interesting thing you could possibly do with a new walker, the most undigestible thing that I think most people will just find silly. They just teased actual new variants, and that's the route they went down. And at this point in time, I don't think this showrunner will tackle that. I don't think he will even nearly utilize that cool walker idea, but I think a show will. They have to. Remember, this is the thing that Andrew Lincoln said he will come back for, when the walkers are really the main threat again. The main survivors we know have become so experienced with them, so how do they become a real threat again? As Andrew said, how do they make it the horror again that it essentially always has been? By making the walkers more dangerous, by unleashing a new walker type in a very grounded, boots on the ground way. It has to be scary and it has to be believable. This, with the stuff they were putting in them, it isn't. Don't do that after the Daryl show. Don't. That is the best way to do it, and the only way it won't feel silly. That's why I loved that end credit scene in World Beyond season 2, because they showed a recording from Dr. Jenner, the one who explained it to everyone and the main characters in the first show. He said Wildfire caused some other variant, these variant cohorts that he wasn't aware of. The best way to do new walkers is to say there was something at the start, not to have people inject stuff in them to make them different and new. Now I remember I made a video on this and it was just a theory. Back then I said surely after the Commonwealth the walkers are next, and now it's not a theory anymore, it's happened, and it will happen even more if they get really good showrunners and if they just do the shows we kind of expect them to do. I don't want a Rick and Michonne Love show. I want a Rick show, Rick, Daryl, Morgan, maybe Gabriel, Aaron, just to get a team on that show, and they go and ask Negan for help with his new city of people, and he agrees because the Civic Republic just don't listen to them. I would love it if Rick was just forced to ask Negan for help. That's what I want to happen, that's what I think should happen. It's been really slowly implemented, and I think walker scenes being more challenging at any point, just like I said with that scene with Carol where 8 months later it did become a thing that was canonized. It's a sign that it's on the way. I just don't think this showrunner will or could do it in this show. It's also a whole new crew doing the show in Spain. I've learned that this show will not have the creativity to do the new Walker stuff. They will have the creativity to do other stuff, which we've seen some really interesting ideas here, but this show I don't think until maybe at the very end of this season or the very end of the final season won't touch on that, but that's enough for me to retain my excitement even after everything they've done that I don't like, because I still think that's on the way. The atmosphere was instantly better than Dead City. I love New York City. I like Negan. So I'd think that show would be much better to look at, but it's all drained and brown and yellow. I Am Legend was post-apocalyptic too, and they didn't do that, so it's just Dead City. I think it's doomed by its own aesthetic, its own bitter, repetitive, dreary atmosphere. I do not care for that show. I'm a bit annoyed that I gave it a 7 out of 10. As soon as Stephen Merchant as Julian appeared, he lit the show up, and I loved all of their scenes. The whole point of this story is he's never really done anything in his life. He saved, he waited, but even when the fall happened, he never did anything, and eventually everyone he knew died. And by the sounds of it, everyone in London. He says the rest of England too, but I said this back when the trailer came out. I don't believe everyone in England is gone. I hope this is more just Julian's point of view rather than them stating a fact through him.
You're looking at the last Englishman in England, as far as I know.
Remember, the princess character said she was the only one in her city, as she hadn't seen anyone in years. She wasn't the only one in that state, certainly not the country. I don't think this line is as hard as they thought it was.
There's no one could get in, and then no one could get out.
But he's saying it like they were stuck in a box. It's surrounded by water. They could definitely do more in the UK rather than have it be some stepping stone to Spain. Julian using the Big Ben bells to distract the walkers was really cool. Reminds me of when the characters in the Telltale games arrived in Savannah and Molly would use the bells there.
You aren't sailors, are you?
It's been a while.
It hasn't been a while to where you wouldn't know how to use a boat or what was called what. What was your little sailing arc about then in season 10?
Not far from here, it's docked on the Thames. It's a river.
Daryl, I get, but there's no way Carol doesn't know what the Thames are. He wasn't referencing some puddle in Indonesia. You know what the Thames are. There's no way she's 60 then.
Hold that, would you?
Now, Stephen Merchant said he could only do one episode, but there's so many other creative ways you could go about his story. He could have stayed, he could have fell off because they were forced by walkers to leave in a storm, and he wishes them luck in the distance and remains in England. Or Daryl and Carol could have fell off and they wash up on the coast of Spain, but Julian washes up on Maine, on some wreckage, and just like what they've already done with Ash and Laurent, have him just disappear into the Commonwealth. I imagine those two will appear again, but you could have just had Julian go there and be referenced in dialogue as a nice end to his story. I just get sick of that being a way to end a character being on a show, especially when I feel like I defended the reset to factory settings they did in season 2 with the French characters like Isabelle. It gets to the point where the meaning of a death in The Walking Dead could, and I think does, feel diluted if it's their answer to separating a character from the others. Surely an even better way for his story to end is if, in listening to Daryl and Carol, motivating him and telling him to get up and try, he makes it there and has a good life in the Commonwealth.
Maybe you'll find someone in America.
I'd feel a lot more inclined to watch these two have another helping the good team beat the bad team story, but I'm too busy feeling a bit tired with it. I get it, it's The Walking Dead, it's brutal, it's cold and tragic, but it becomes less effective over time when the only characters that do get any other type of ending that isn't tragic are the two main ones. The Walking Dead spin-off shows introduce these great characters, but 9 times out of 10 kill them. It's like they're doing the opposite of what Fear did. They would keep all these awful characters around, but the new spin-off shows have really great ones and kill them. The issue with this, and situation similar to it, is me and most people watching loved Julian, and these amazing scenes of them in the boat were actually more interesting than what it turned into. I think this is how the show should have ended, and have the Spain stuff before, because as they were in the forest and they saw the nets of walkers, and they try getting you intrigued and introducing us to these villains, I felt fatigued. Like, why again? We saw this in France, a new bad guy group in trucks. What they just did was really interesting, but they've washed up a second time, and now there's all these new people I've got to find out about. They should have went to Spain first and have Falou say there's people in Spain that can help you with a boat. Then that doesn't work out and the bad guys took all of them people out and destroyed the boat, so they come back and Falou explains the channel is the last resort, and then they could go and meet Julian and make it back. Episode 1 was enjoyable and intriguing. It just depends if you do or don't get tired of it, and ask why you should care that another good team versus bad team story is being done. I want this show to tell me why I should watch them redo season 1 and 2 again. 6.9 out of 10, or maybe 7 out of 10. Episode 2, I think in essence was also good, but again I kind of had that fatigue with it. We meet all these new people. They do have this interesting tradition which for me retained my interest. They basically have girls selected to go and live with these other mysterious people, and when they come back to visit they seem to be really happy, but there's obviously more to it. To paraphrase General Bill, the CRM has people around the world that trade with them. Handing people over for something in return is very CRM-like, just like Janet trading walkers in a ship was very CRM-like. It's not a theory anymore, that's what the CRM did. And by the sounds of it, even though Rick and Michonne defeated the dark, cool side of the CRM, that still exists in smaller parts. But they're just really coy with it to the point they likely won't directly confirm these people and Janet were affiliated with the CRM until in a few shows they mention the group tropes in dialogue. Really interesting scene with Daryl here though. We've seen this meaner streak with him, which is good. In this season they are a bit different. Daryl's meaner, he's I think a bit more striking for lack of better word. I don't even know if that's what.
We got a lot of stuff.
Don't.
We'll just take a little.
I find Carol to be more silly.
Dogs to eat.
I don't like the hot dogs thing either. If they talk about the hot dogs again, I'm going to put them in the fucking bin. And last season it was being upset about Sophia, but now it's being upset about a partner, a relationship. This is something that I don't think they've explored with Carol for a while. I don't know if I enjoyed her with Ezekiel in the main show. I would have liked if her reminiscing and fantasizing in the distance at this couple was where they left it, but you know, they're going to have her pair up with another man, and then he's going to die, and then we're going to begin the loop again. 7 out of 10. But what do you think? Are you enjoying the Daryl show so far? And when do you think the new walkers will be utilised again? Because we have reason to believe they will. I just don't know if this show anymore will be the one to do it. Let me know what you think down below. And if you enjoyed this, you'll enjoy my latest Walking Dead What If video. What if Tyrese survived? I recreate the whole Walking Dead timeline, but with Tyrese surviving where he died at. It's a really cool one, so go and enjoy that. Press the like button on the video if you enjoyed it. Make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell set to all, so you never miss a video from me. Thank you for watching. I'll see you soon.